Hey, Pastor, doesn't science disprove the Bible?
Isn't Genesis just a fairy tale?
Is God for real? Did he really create everything in 6 literal days?
Didn't God just use the Big Bang?
Why is there death and suffering? Do you really believe the Bible?
Didn't man evolve from apes?
For answers to these questions and more, stand by for Believing the Bible.
Welcome to Believing the Bible. This is Scott Lane with Terry Reed, Dr. Daniel Harris, Dr. Carl Williams, and our producer, Jeremiah Rosenthal, all with the San Antonio Bible-Based Science Association. We are here to reassure you that you can believe the Bible from the very first verse. One of the things that's just fascinating to me is the way God sends people to you. It is the way that God supports his ministry with people. Daniel, you had a vision for SABBSA years before it ever occurred.
In 1994, I went to the Creation Conference in Pittsburgh, where they presented the galloping continents and the white hole origin of the universe and all the other dramatic things that were changing. And on the way back on the bus, and I couldn't afford airfare. I only had a bus. I couldn't sleep because you don't fall asleep, you're not going to get off at the right place. So I was sleep deprived, and the Lord just moved. I mean, he was just very clear. I said, we've got to do something about this creation stuff, because these guys at the conference were just gone completely nutso with their galloping continents and white hole gravitation based upon Einstein nonsense. And I thought, what is? And the Lord said, you'll be part of an organization in San Antonio that will make a difference, that will change things. And I thought, wow, that's great. So the minute that anything started to happen in San Antonio, I was there.
Now, if you read our September 2025 newsletter, you'll find an article called Just Do It, in which we recount many of the people that God has sent to us over the years. Now, this was brought to light because of recent death of Mrs. Cindy Williams, one of our board members. We would oftentimes think of the contributions that they gave. I always remember Cindy and doing the chocolate fossil for the kids when we would be doing presentations at Feast and later at our own monthly meetings, etc. But Carl, she got you into creation science. Would that be a true statement?
That is definitely a true statement. I was barely a believer when our family moved to San Antonio in 1996. I had made a profession of faith at a Promise Keeper meeting just a year before, but I was definitely old earth. I was steeped in evolution, and I couldn't shake it. Cindy went to one of the creation science with Steve Austin and Henry Morris and John Morris here in town. That was sponsored by the fledgling SABBSA group. And she came home all excited and said, you won't believe what I just saw. And so she presented to me clear evidence that the earth had to be young. And therefore, I needed to get off the evolutionary bandwagon and start looking at what science actually showed. And that was the birth of my true Christianity, I think.
So the effect of this life of Cindy Williams was not only as a board member for us, but giving us her spouse, which has been of such great value to us in this organization. Now, when this organization started, it started with Ernie Hernandez. Ernie Hernandez, back in 1996, had the belief system that he wanted to bring a Institute of Creation Research, ICR, event to San Antonio. And he researched what it would take to bring that. ICR, when they come to town, wants you to have a good amount of organization to do so
ahead of time.
So he formed a committee, a group of people to put that together. That original group included Ernie Hernandez, Dr. Daniel Harris, Scott Lane, Dave Swinney, Earl White, Bill Quigley, and subsequent meetings we had Dr. Ernest Gregory and Mr. Glenn Lundberry added to that organization. Paul Wilkie, thank you. Were added to that organizational committee. Folks, these were people who had been doing some things or had some interest in creation, Before that, I was doing some seminars and that kind of stuff all on my own. And how Ernie even found me, because I didn't have any radio or publicity or anything else. This was all by word of mouth. This was a God thing that these people were put together. Now, just for a little background in terms of creation science in San Antonio, for years, the face of creation science in San Antonio area was that of Dr. Ernest Gregory and Dr. Val Lancaster. Those two guys, for a couple of decades, carried forward the message of creation science. And we took up the mantle in 1997. It was Dr. Harris who had the idea of getting a sign-up sheet at our first event at Trinity Church and get a sign-up of people so that we could form this organization. We shortly after that had a meeting in which a very long meeting, in which we put together the Constitution for this organization
and named it,
which again was something that you had a vision for.
I was very insistent. The idea of calling it Bible-based science was heretical to many people. The idea that the Bible could be a source of fundamental understanding for science was revolutionary.
You're listening to Believe in the Bible. This is Scott Lane with Terry Reed, Dr. Daniel Harris, Dr. Carl Williams, and Jeremiah Rosenthal. If you would like to learn more, go to SABBSA.org. That is SABBSA.org. Along the way, Cindy was the last person that we had to go to heaven, but it impressed me during the 27-year history that we've had that we've now had 5 people who've left us and gone to heaven. The first one, some of you did not know, was Earl White. Earl White was with us, as I mentioned, on that inaugural committee. Earl White was a very unassuming person who really didn't inject himself into the program much. But when he had a feeling for something, he did. And one of the things he did was sponsor us to take a field trip up to Glen Rose and to see the Creation Experience Museum up there. We got onto the McFall property and saw dino tracks in the Biloxi. But again, this is where God works, because when he got us up there, not only did we see this great creation evidence, but the other thing we did was met the Jacksons and got a real connection with the Creation Experience Museum from being up there. Creation Evidence Museum. Thank you for that.
And I got to put my foot in one of the footprints, the human footprints, in the river.
We had the pleasure of having the Jacksons with us for several years. Fortunately, Cindy Jackson was Christy Jackson was the second person to leave us. And again, God brings these people with us and into us. She and her husband were board members with us for several years and gave us that connection to CEM. Another friend of SABBSA, who was never a board member, was John Pendleton, who frequently befriended us, came up and gave us great presentations, great friends with the Williams. He passed on, I believe it was from COVID. Was that correct?
That's correct.
That was correct. The next member to leave us was the Reverend Burton Stokes, who I don't know whether it was Reverend Burton Stokes or Dr. Ernest Gregory that left us first, but both of us left us about the same time. Pretty close. And these are men who gave us, in Ernest Gregory's case, he gave us the whole background for creation ministry in San Antonio. And in Burton Stokes' case, he not only gave us another connection to the Creation Evidence Museum, but also a great support in terms of background in Christian theology and creation. We had a person happen through here named Dub Warren that some of you have met and some of you didn't. Dub Warren, through his background as a CEO and a businessman, made us take a look at what we were doing. And we had a committee formed at his urging, in which we analyzed and put together a mission statement and a focus for what we really were supposed to be about. Prior to that point, we had tried this, tried that, done a few different things, gone down to Harlandale Baptist on the south side to try and bring in youth. And we didn't bring in one after we put out over 5,000 pamphlets at both Harlandale High School and McCollum High School. but he really gave us a focus in terms of what we're supposed to be and where we're supposed to do. Terry Reed, who's on this program today, Terry, you came up with the idea for the radio program, which has now become a major focus in this ministry.
Praise the Lord.
And are to this day one of the sponsors of that. The people that he has given us along the way, I am being very failing in the fact that I'm not going to be able to get into the so many people that God has brought to us. But one of the fascinating things that I've seen along the way is how God has given this small local organization the ability to have a national impact, as we do with our radio network, but also the fact that God has given us a board and people to be able to push forward this ministry who are so well talented, so well gifted, and so well educated for the purpose. It's an amazing design feature from God.
Believing the Bible now has a new way you can support our ministry and get some great gifts. For a donation of $10 or more, we will email you a copy of Repetition in the Bible by Jack Cassione, which shows the Bible to be a self-proving document and shows God's protection of His Word over the ages. For a donation of $25 or more, we will also mail you a copy of Scott Lane's book, What If God Wrote the Bible, showing 6 things we should find in the world and in the Bible if God is the author of the Bible. To get these great gifts, send your check or money order to SABBSA at 7620 Avery, Live Oak, Texas 78233. That's SABBSA at 7620 Avery Road, Live Oak, Texas 78233. This information for ordering is also on our contact page at SABBSA.org.
Information for creation events in our area are on our website's calendar page. For more information or to schedule a presentation, go to SABBSA.org or call 210-599-7240. When you go to our website, you can click on a link to our newsletter. Our website has a link for contact information on which you can order our newsletter to be emailed to you, or you can call us. Also go to whyshouldyoubelieve.com. That is Terry's website containing articles looking at current day issues from a biblical perspective. SABBSA meets the second Tuesday of each month at 7 p.m. We are now meeting at Faith Lutheran Church just south of the corner of Jones Maltzberger and Thousand Oaks. There you will find biblical apologetics and creation science teaching found nowhere else in Bexar County, as well as the availability of books and videos on these important subjects. If you missed any part of this show, you can listen to the show anytime by going to the AM 630 KSLR, the Word in South Texas website. Click on KSLR Podcast, scroll down until you find Believing the Bible. Please join us again next Saturday for Believing the Bible. I'm Scott Lane, and for Terry Reed, Dr. Carl Williams, and Ed Stalsville, thanks for listening, and we hope you found today a reason to believe the Bible.